everybody, welcome or welcome back to Crafts by KMW. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you will enjoy this video. If you do, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really helps with that YouTube algorithm that I will never understand but have to work with. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please click that subscription button. It really helps me out. I am still working towards getting my first 1,000 subscribers in order to be monetized. So I truly appreciate every subscriber, and you will have access to my full catalog of videos as well as get notified when I post new ones. And I would like to give a shout out to all my current subscribers. Thank you so much. You are rock stars. You are really appreciated, and I hope you're enjoying the channel. So today's video is a full flip through of my first completed book. I am so excited about this. This was a challenge that I made for myself in January. I made a challenges for 2023 video if you'd like to check that out. And one of them was to finish a book. When June rolled around, I realized that I was no closer to finishing a book than I had been in January when I made that video. So I realized that I needed to get going. So I just picked a book. I really didn't put much thought into it. I just picked a book that happened to be on the top of my pile of books that I'm working on, which is about 15 books. And I chose this one, Anastasia Elly Koldareva's Serenity. It has 27 pages in it. The illustrations are all portrait. They're absolutely beautiful. She is a stunning artist from Russia. She has her own books manufactured and sells them on her website. I have her website linked in a previous video that I did just a few weeks ago where I did a flip through of her two most recent coloring books. If I forget to put it in the description below for this video, it is in that one, or you can just Google her name, Anastasia Elly Koldareva, and get to her website, and she sells all her coloring books there. And so I just started coloring to finish pages, and before I knew it, I was done. And I feel so accomplished. I am so excited. It's different when you complete a full book than when you complete lots of pages in different books. There's still a sense of accomplishment, at least for me, but it's not the same as when you can look at a book and flip through it and see every page finished. I don't know, it's just something about finishing a complete book that is special onto its own. And I'm actually kind of surprised I finished it because my coloring style really isn't conducive to that. I tend to color in lots of different books. I color different things. Like one day I'll feel like coloring mountains, and I'll go through all my Kirby Roseanne's books and look for mountains. And so I wind up having all of these pages that have something colored, but they're all incomplete. So for me, I don't get a lot of pages done. And I guess I'd been happy with that before until I finished this book. And I just felt such a sense of accomplishment in finishing it that I think I'm gonna try to work in books rather than work just across books and do it the way I was doing it. So for my next book that I want to complete, it's either going to be a Kirby Roseanne's book, a Beauty of Horror by Alan Robert, or a Hannah Carlson, I think. Another book might pop up and I might choose that instead, but those are what I'm thinking about right now. So hopefully I'll be able to finish another book in 2023, which would be really exciting. So I'm gonna flip through this book. I used a lot of different supplies in this book. Some pages are more supply heavy and other pages have just one or two supplies. I like all of the pages in the book. I love some of them, and I will share that with you as I go through and talk about why. And I'm really proud because I tried some different things in here, and they may not seem like earth-shattering, but they were different for me. I tend to color my pages pretty similarly. I like bright colors. I like to use a lot of colors. And so if you look across my pages, they tend to look similar. So I really tried to step outside the box a little bit with this book and with some of these pages. So I think I accomplished that, and I'm really excited, and I think it'll be fun to try that on in more books as well and just do things a little bit differently. So without further ado, I'm gonna flip the camera and show you the book. Okay, so this book does not have any copyright or any introduction pages. So when you open the book, it just starts out with the first page. So this is the first illustration. I really liked this illustration, but I wanted to keep the color palette very minimal because I just didn't feel like doing a ton of colors on the butterfly or the moth. I'm not sure which it is. So I decided to choose two opposite colors on the color wheel, blue and orange, and I focused on those colors, and I really like how it looks. And this was the first time that I did black hair by adding blue into it. And you don't get the highlight look or the shiny look, but it does give some really pretty dimension to her hair. So this was done mostly with Brutfuner pencils and chalk pastels. There's a little bit of gel pen in there as well. And I use Crayola Colors of the World for the skin. Just to let you know, when I colored this book, or when I started coloring in it, I colored all of the skins first with my Crayola Colors of the World pencils, mostly. There's a few that I did with other pencils, but most of the skins are colored with Crayola Colors of the World. And then I did the hair, and then I went back and started filling in all the other details. I like to do skin and hair first because that helps me to decide colors for the rest of the page. So that's what I did pretty much in this book. So this is the next page. This is the last page that I colored in this book to finish it. And it's my favorite illustration in the book. It was one of the reasons I bought the book. I just love her hairstyle. I love the look on her face. I love this beautiful bug. I love the wings. So this one I really, really like. This is one of my favorites that I colored. I had seen so many other colorist renditions of this page, and I love them all, that I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. So finally, I just went back to my Irish roots and said, okay, she's gonna have green hair. And once I had the green hair, then I started doing the braids in different colors. And then I just started to do the bugs, and everything kind of fell into place. So this is mostly Brutfuner pencils other than the skin, which is Crayola. There's gel pen in here as well as Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. And then the background is partially chalk pastel and pencil, and I used a stencil to get the dots. I really didn't know what I wanted to do for the background. I didn't want to do another outdoor or nature background, so I thought I would put her in the house in front of wallpaper. So that's what I did, and I really like how it turned out. So this next one is not one of my favorite illustrations. However, I do like how it came out. I normally don't do backgrounds that have the same color or tone as a major element of the page. But when I finally decided I wanted to do the flowers purple, then I just didn't know what I wanted to do with the background. There's not enough background area to do like a sunset background or anything like that. And I didn't necessarily want to do it like a wallpaper. I just wanted it to be more plain because I want the focus to be on her. And I was going through all these different colors and just nothing seemed to work. So then I just picked a purple and just went with it. And I kind of like it. Again, it's different. It's something that I normally don't do. I don't know if I would do it again, but I do kind of like it. And this one is colored with pencils, mostly Brutfuner. I'm sure there's some Prismacolor in here as well as a little bit of gel pen and chalk pastels for the background. So this is one that I colored quite a while ago. If you've been following my channel or have watched a bunch of my videos, this was in my very first completed pages and work in progress pages video that I did. So this one's been colored for about a year and a half. And I really like this one. I loved the image. I just thought it was beautiful. And this was my first attempt at a sunset background with water and sand, a real beach. And I thought it turned out really, really good. So this is all Brutfuner pencils, even the skin, gel pen, and chalk pastels. So this is the one from the cover. And of course, mine looks nothing like the beautiful one that Anastasia colored. But I kind of like it. I am disappointed with the skin. I was trying to do something different. Anastasia speckles images throughout her books that could be mermaids. In other words, they are women underwater. And so I usually color those as mermaids. So I give them different color skin, green, purple, pink, whatever. And on this one, I wanted to try something different, so I did gray. And to be honest, I'm not particularly happy with it. Once I finished it, I looked at it and I was like, oh, I don't really like it. But then I did her hair pink to try to offset that. And I love the pink hair. And I really like how the goldfish turned out. I used a photo and I probably used every single orange, yellow pencil that I own. So there's probably about 10 different shades or tones of orange in those goldfish. And I really like how they turned out. So everything is Brutfuner pencil or other pencils. Sometimes I pull some of my other pencils if I need a certain color. So it might not be all Brutfuner. And then the background is chalk pastel. And then usually when I do water pages, I try to do some kind of overwash or layer of something on top to make it look like they're actually underwater. So I used some gelatos and just kind of swoosh them around on top in sort of a wavy motion and then added water to them. And I got sort of an underwater wavy look. So again, this is not one of my favorites, but it's okay. I just wish I had done something different with the skin. So this is another one that I colored a while ago. It's been at least a year. And this one is also featured, I believe, in my completed works video that I did when I first started my channel. I've not done one since. And I really liked this image, and it was really fun to color. I loved how I did the blue hair. I used probably 6 different shades of blue in there, and I really wanted a silver background. This is done with metallic pen. I'm not jazzed that you can see all of the strokes, but it's just something you have to deal with. And overall, I really like the look of the page. I wanted her to look electrified and lit up, and I think I achieved that. And it was a really fun page to do. So this page I completed fairly recently. It's not one of my favorite images in the book. I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know if it's the hands, like who would just place their hands like that for no reason? I don't know. I think that kind of got me. So when I colored it, I was looking for inspiration through the Facebook group to see other colorist renditions of this page. And I came across one where she had done a yellow globe or a bubble in the center. And I really thought it looked cool. So I went ahead and added it as well. Mine's clear, but it makes me like the page more because I feel like now she has a reason for having her hands like that. She's holding or floating this crystal that she's using to maybe foresee the future. I don't know. And so this is done with pencil, mostly Brutfuner. I think I used a Prismacolor on some of the purple, and then chalk pastel for the background, and there's some chalk pastel in the flowers as well. When I want flowers or something to look a little bit lighter, sometimes I'll use chalk pastels because I can control it a little better, at least for me, than I can with pencils. So I like this page. Again, it's not one of my favorites, but I like it now, and I really like that the globe came out pretty well. This is another one of my favorites. I love this page. I loved the image, and it was really fun to color. So she is all colored pencil, little bit of gel pen. I used a stencil that I have. I think it's a stencil for maybe snake skin. I'm not exactly sure, but it's an animal skin stencil. And I put that on her shoulder and on her hand to make it more apparent that she is a mermaid. And the rocks and the fungi and everything, that's all chalk pastel. I just didn't feel like dealing with all of the details in there with colored pencil. And so I think it came out really nice. I like the background. I used a couple shades of chalk pastels and tried to fade upward from darker to lighter. So I really like how this one turned out. And I just love the look on her face. I think it's so melancholy and whimsical. So this is another image that I really liked, but I'm not sure I'm totally in love with how I colored it. I like her. I like the berries. I like the hair. The birds, I really didn't know what to do with. And so I finally just decided blue and yellow, and I did them all with chalk pastel. And they're a little light for me. I tried to darken them up a bit, but it really wasn't working. I don't know if it was just the colors I was using or if I had gotten some smudges or some wax on some of the areas of the birds just by coloring other parts of the image, but it just wasn't working. So I kind of left them the way they are. I think they're too light. They don't really stand out, but I like overall the image. So it's all mostly done with colored pencil, mostly Brut Funer. And I believe I used chalk pastels on the leaves just to make it a little easier. And the birds are chalk pastel, the background is chalk pastel, and there's a little bit of gel pen in here as well. I'm not exactly jiving with the background, but I wanted to do something a little different. So I did the dark blue around her and then made the outsides light blue. Again, it's not one of my favorites, but I do like it. It's okay. So this one, I had seen so many different beautiful, really cool, funky colorings, and I wanted to do something like that too. But when it came down to it, I just didn't feel like putting in the effort to do a lot of the things that I saw in some other people's colored images. So I made the moon, and I just colored the background black with Posca pen and added the white stars. So I like how it looks. It's not what I had originally envisioned. To me, this image is sort of dreamlike and whimsical. I really wanted to do a lot of clouds and things, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So I went the simpler route. And I do like how it looks, but it's just not what I had envisioned. So she's colored with Prismacolor and Brut Funer. There's some gel pen on there as well for these little beads. And then Posca pen for the background. Gel pen for the stars, and the moon is Posca pen and chalk pastel. So this is another one that I'm not totally in love with the image, but I like the way it came out. I wanted to do a sunset background, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I did more purples and reds and pinks, and I really liked that. I like how that came out. And I'm not in love with the ground. I think this is too much. I should have brought it down a little bit lower and continued the sky lower, but you know, hindsight is 20/20. So I still like it, but I just wish that I didn't have so much of the brown. And so she is done with Crayola Colors of the World. The background is all chalk pastel, and then the hair and everything else is done with colored pencil as well. I believe all Brut Funer, but I'm not totally sure. It could be a mixture of other pencils as well. So this is one that I tried to experiment on. So I had never done water with like waves or anything. So I thought I would try it on this. I don't know if I really accomplished the look that I want. I wanted it to look like a slow ripple effect. I used Posca pen for the foam. The water is chalk pastel. The sky is chalk pastel. I'm not exactly sure it accomplished it, but I think it does look pretty. I really like the limited color palette on this, and I wasn't really going for that. It just kind of happened, and there's not a whole lot of things going on in this illustration, even though it looks kind of busy, but there's not a whole lot of different things to color. So I think just inherently the color palette was limited, but I had colored her hair purple before I really focused on the flowers and realized that they are thistles and that they're mostly purple. And so I didn't want to color them the same color as her hair. So I made them blue, and this blue purple sort of dark color, bluesy color palette emerged. And I really do like it. It's, again, something different. I tried something with the water. I'm not sure I achieved it, but I do like the image overall. Hey, Finn. All right, buddy, not now. So this is another underwater illustration, and I really liked this one. And I thought I would do something different. I wanted to keep her very, very light. So she is colored with a little bit of colored pencil on her skin, and then the hair and the shells are all chalk pastel. So I could really control the saturation and opacity. And I think she came out really pretty. It's almost as if she looks kind of ghostly, and I really like that that look. And then I did the clownfish in colored pencil. I used a photo to help me color those properly because I couldn't remember. I knew they were black, white, and orange, but I just couldn't remember what colors went where. So this image is mostly chalk pastel. There's chalk pastel in the background and a little bit of gel pen. I decided not to put anything in front of her to make it look like water. Again, because I want her to stay that very light, kind of ghostly color. So I really like this one. It's a little bit different, and I enjoyed coloring this. This is one of my favorites that I colored, aside from the second one that I showed you. I don't know which is number 1 or 2. I'm not really sure. But this one, I always knew I wanted to do a night sky, but usually I use black for night sky, and I thought I want to do something different. So I decided to do blues, and it turned out really, really well. There are a ton of layers of chalk pastel on this to get the saturation of color, and it took a long time to do. I had to keep going over it and blending it, but I really love the look. I love how it appears like there's this glow around her. And then I added the ground, the moon with Posca pen, and my little not so terrific cactus. I am not an artist as far as drawing. I really don't have too many drawing talents at all. I can't even copy very well. So this was big for me to draw my own cactus, and they came out okay. They're not perfect, but I think that kind of adds to it. And I knew that I just wanted them in silhouette, so they didn't have to be, you know, amazing or anything, because they were just going to be black. And I really like how she turned out. Once I colored her shirt orange, then everything else really fell into place. I just tried to use different greens for each of the other cactus. The snake, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was going through all these other colors and nothing really worked. I couldn't do red because I thought it would clash with her shirt, and I didn't want so much green in the picture, and I didn't want blue because that's the background. So I just decided on yellow. I don't totally love it, but I think it looks okay and it works with the picture. But I think overall, just the whole piece together looks really, really pretty. I'm really happy with it. So this one, I love this image. And I really like how the hair turned out. I like how the face turned out. This is one, if you have watched some of my other videos, I did a video on how to fix areas that you totally mess up coloring with gesso. So you can just coat them with 1 or 2 layers of clear gesso, and then that gives you a new surface to color over on. And this is one where I did that. I had messed up the skin really badly. It was way too dark. And so I just coated the whole thing in a couple layers of gesso, and then I recolored, and I really like how it turned out. Now, I'm not exactly happy with the background. I was coloring this one at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just wanted to finish it. So I just did a grassy background and a daytime sky and a sun. It's not exactly what I pictured for this illustration, but it works. It's all chalk pastel. I did the sun first with yellow Posca and then went over it with a little bit of chalk pastel. She is all colored pencil. I believe Brut Fooner. There may be a few other colors, other pencils thrown in there, but mostly Brut Fooner. So I like the image. It's not one of my favorites. I wish I had done something different with the background, but it kind of works. So this one, I had the image colored really early on, but I had not done anything with the background because I just didn't know what to do. And when it came down to it, I didn't want to do another, again, outdoor background. I didn't want to do a sunset or night sky or whatever. I was kind of getting bored with that. So I again decided to make her in her home and just do some wallpaper. So the light blue background is gelato, and then I used ink and a stencil on over it, and I really like how it looks. I kind of wrestled with what color to do. I kept thinking, well, what goes with black and red? And then I was like, well, I don't have to make it match with what she's wearing because, I mean, we don't do that in real life. Our house is our house, and what we wear is what we wear, and we take photos in our house all the time, and the backgrounds don't have to match. So once I let that go, I realized that I wanted turquoise and dark blue, and I really like how it turned out. I really liked doing her hair, love this hairstyle, and doing the little stones or gems was fun too. So I really like this one as well. So this next one was another illustration that was not my favorite. I just think her hand position is a little weird. I know why it is because of the praying mantis on her shoulder, but it just seems weird, and I don't really love the position of her mouth. But once I colored it and created this island background, it really came alive for me, and now I love this, and I'm really happy with it. It's one of my favorites. So she's colored all with colored pencil, Crayola on the skin, Brut Fooner and Prismacolor for the flowers and the little bug there. There's a little bit of gel pen, and then the background is all chalk pastels. I did use a reference photo for this. I just looked up some island pictures, landscape photos of islands. And so I kind of used one for that. And I really like how it turned out. I had a little trouble with the clouds. The clouds don't look exactly the way I wanted to, but I think they still look great. And I really like the overall feel of the image. I think it's really tropical and fun, and it came out really nice. So this one I really like as well. This is totally different from what I envisioned it. I had not intended to do this black and white at all. The hair was done really early on. I knew that I wanted her to have purple hair. And then after that, I just kind of left the image. So when I came back to it to color it, I still didn't have really any ideas. So I just started with the branches, and I didn't feel like coloring them with lots of different shades of brown and adding in highlights and lowlights and all of that. So I just colored it with black gel pen. Then the birds followed. Then I did her blouse or her dress top, and I was really liking how the black was looking, and I just kept going with it. So I did her skin gray, I did the bird in grays, and then I did the background. So everything on her is colored pencil, a lot of gel pen. There's gel pen on the birds and the branches, and then the background is chalk pastel. And the little beads or pearls or whatever are white Posca pen. And I really like how the clouds came out. I wanted to do kind of a tiered look with them getting lighter or darker. I actually started with the light layer first, and then I took a darker gray, and then I took the darkest gray, almost black on the top. And I really like how that looks. It really came out good. I've never done a black and white colored picture before, and I know it's not 100% black and white, but I do like the pop of the lilac, and I think it gives it a little bit of character. I am not totally happy with the bird. I may go back and work him a little bit more. I feel like he should be darker, but at the time I just felt like, okay, I just have to be finished with this. I was putting on so many layers and working the paper and the chalk so much that I just had to give it a rest. So I may come back to this at some time in the future and make the bird a little darker. But overall, I really like how this came out, something different. And I think it looks really pretty. I think this picture in particular lent itself really well to being black and white, or like sepia, or a tonal page. So this is another illustration that I really liked. It kind of gives me like a 1930s, 1940s feel because of her hair. So she is Crayola Colors of the World. Her hair is Brut Fooner. The plants are Brut Fooner with a little bit of gel pen. And then I used some sparkle pen on the leaves. Her shirt is colored with marker, and then I used the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen on top to give it a little bit of sheen, so it looks like a fancier blouse. And then I wanted to do something different for the background, so I used a bronze Posca pen. It didn't come out exactly the way I want. You can see a lot of the pen strokes. I did do 2 layers on it, and it's still showing the strokes, but I'm just kind of overlooking that. I got the look that I was going for, a really fancy, classy look, and I think that was achieved, and I really like the overall look of it, so I'm happy with it, even though the finish isn't exactly perfect. So this one was a really interesting image because you have the flowers on her hair, and then you have lighter flowers drawn in the background. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do with that, how I wanted to attack it. So I just started coloring her. And at the time, I didn't really feel like doing all of the intricate details of the flowers with pencil. So the flowers are totally chalk pastel. And then once she was finished, I was able to eliminate colors and kind of think about what I wanted to do with the background. So I just did this light lilac all over the flower part, and then I used a soft yellow for everything else. And I really like how it came out. You can still see the background, but she is the focus, which is what I was really going for. So I really like this. It's colorful, but it's light and pastel-y. So I really like the feel of this page. So this is another one that was one of my favorite illustrations. When I saw it, I just love her hair, and I love the view of her, you know, turned around. I love the bottle. I really just loved it. And there was no background on this at all. So I was looking at other people's colored images to get inspiration. And a lot of people did some amazing things. They did sailboats, and I was just like, I cannot draw a sailboat. So I just did a sunset background and water. And I tried to do something different with the sunset than I normally do. So I made it where it's like a little bit darker, a little bit later in the sunset, whereas in other words, the sunset's almost over. So you don't see as much of the sunset color as you see now, more of the night sky. And that was the first time that I had ever done that. It took a lot of layers, a lot of blending with my chalk pastels. It's not exactly the way I wanted it to be, but I think it looks pretty good. And then I added some white chalk to make it look like shining from the moon. And then I added some gel pen, little sparkles in the water, and then gel pen is for the stars. I added the moon. The moon is Posca pen for the base layer, and then chalk pastels to make the dark spots. So I really like how this came out. She is all colored pencil with some chalk pastels as well as a little bit of gel pen. So I think this looks really pretty. I did her justice, I think. So this is another one of my favorite images. It's just beautiful, and the composition is just really pretty. So this one, she is all Brutfuner colored pencil, and these leafy plants are colored pencil. Everything else is chalk pastel. And I wanted to get kind of a softness, so that's why I chose chalk pastel. And I really like how it turned out. I think it's really lovely. Limited color palette, but it looks really, really nice. I would love to be where she is. I'm sure it is really beautiful. So I really like how this turned out as well. So this is another one. I really like the hairstyle, but the plant I was really kind of stuck on. I normally don't try to color plants or flowers the way they really look in real life. Most of the time I just color what I want to color, and it doesn't matter what they are. A lot of times I'm right, because some flowers come in different colors. So if you color it pink, you know, some of them are pink, some are purple, some are yellow, whatever. So this flower though was different, and this is like a tropical flower. It has a big long name that I can't pronounce and don't remember, but I know that the original colors on this flower are like rusty browns, rusty oranges, and I absolutely did not want to color the flowers that color. So I chose purple, and I really like how it turned out. It really contrasts with the orange hair, the red hair. I did the hair after my mom. My mom had beautiful red hair. And then the leaves are done with chalk pastel. And then when it came to the background, I really didn't know what to do. And every color I was thinking of just didn't seem to work right. So I chose greens, and I did it in this gradient going from left to right, and I've never done that before, and I really like how it looks. I love how it starts dark over here and light at the end. The only thing I'm not totally happy with is that the leaves kind of disappear. I thought about making them darker, but I really don't want them to be darker. I kind of like that they're lighter and more subtle. So I did a little bit of gray around them, like for shadows, to kind of make them pop a little bit. And I think it does help. It's not perfect, but overall, I really do like how she came out. So this is another underwater one, and this one I really resisted finishing because I had colored her hair originally with this really bright yellow sparkle marker. I had just gotten them and I wanted to use them. So I was flipping through coloring books, finding places where I could use these markers, and I decided on her hair. And it really looked gaudy. I really didn't like it. And then I wanted her skin to be purple, but it came out a little bit too bright. And so I was just resisting finishing it. So when I sat down to do the page, I just thought, okay, I'm just not going to deal with her at all. So I did the turtles. Again, I used a reference photo. And I found out that sea turtles can be lots of different colorways. So I just chose one that I really liked. And I think they came out really good. They are done with Brutfuner pencils. And the skin is Brutfuner pencil. hair as marker. There's a little bit of gel pen on this as well. Then I did chalk pastel for the background, and I was trying to decide how I could make the water, what I was going to do to make the water in front of her to make her look like she's underwater. And I had never tried it putting chalk on top. Usually I do watercolor or gelatos. And so I just took one of my chalk pastel sticks and went over the whole thing, smoothed it out, and it was looking really good. And one thing I loved is that it changed her hair. It toned it down. It did change it to green, but that's okay because hair is going to look a different color underwater anyway. And you can still see a little bit of the yellow peeking out here and there, which I think looks really realistic. And then it also toned down the purple of her skin, which I was really happy with. So it totally looks like she's underwater. It's more toned down, and I really liked the finished product once I completed it. And I will definitely use chalk pastel again to make the water because it worked really well. Typically, chalk pastel doesn't like going over the waxiness of the pencils, but because I used Brutfuner, which are more oil-based than wax, it worked pretty well. So I really like this image. It's one of my favorites. Something a little bit different, and I really like it. So this one was a relatively simple page. Again, it kind of lent itself to a limited color palette. I really didn't choose. I knew I wanted her dress to be orange. I knew I wanted the moth to be green. And then, of course, these would be green. I did her hair orange to kind of match her shirt. And then the flowers, kind of a light orange peach color that just kind of came with the orange. And then I used brown Posca pen for the background to kind of look like wood. So, and the background here in the blue is also chalk pastel. So, like how this came out. Again, it's not a standout. I just colored it very simply, but I think it looks really pretty. So this one, I had the hair and skin done for a long time. I did the hair with pencil as well as different markers. I wanted the curls to really show up. So the hair doesn't look super realistic, but I really like how you can see all the little curls and swirls in the hair. When it came to doing the flowers, I had seen so many other colorist pages with gorgeous flowers, blue and purple and white with pink, and so pretty. And I just didn't know what to do. And so finally I decided red is my favorite color. I was going to do them red. And there are some leaves on this picture, but I just decided to ignore that and do everything red because I wanted more red. And I really like how she came out. She's mostly Brutfuner pencil, gel pen, and chalk pastel for the background. I did the background gray because I wanted it to be more subtle. I wanted her to really stand out. And there's really not much background anyway, so I just did that with a darker color to help her pop and really show up on the page. And then this is the last one in the book. And I really like how she came out. I love the skin. I like her hair. I hate the flower. I had a really hard time with it. There's probably 150 layers on this thing. I don't think you could even add any more color anymore because the paper is so saturated. I just couldn't get it to look the way I wanted. And I had done these in different purples with gel pen and metallic marker. And I'm really disappointed that I did that. I really wish I hadn't. I wish I had done them one color, like white or black or whatever, or green. I'm not sure why I did them in different colors, but I just didn't feel like going over them again because it was kind of a pain to do them the first time because they're really thin lines. So I just left it. And originally I wanted to do a tropical background with lots of green leaves, but I didn't feel like drawing them. I didn't feel like coloring around these leaves and having to do different shades, or these little, I don't even know what you call them, and having to do different shades of green. And so I just did the background with Posca pen, and then I used various light colors of chalk pastel to make a very light bokeh. So overall, I like the composition, but hey Finn, he's back. You've almost lasted the whole time. So I really like how it looks overall, although I'm disappointed with the flower. But overall, I think I kind of fixed it. And it looks okay. She does look really fancy, like she's at a party, and that's the feeling I was going for. I did sparkle pen on top of the black on her dress to make her look like she was at an event. So again, I like it, but not one of my favorites. So that's the flip through of my book. I hope you enjoyed this. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. I really appreciate it. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I hope you also have a very crafty day. Thanks for watching. Take care.